Hi guys, VST here, Venaspeaks Tech. Welcome back, VST here, Venaspeaks Tech. Recently I've released a video covering the One UI 3.0 running on the Galaxy S20 Plus Snapdragon US Edition. And today guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the big differences between the One UI 2.0, which is running on the Galaxy S9, again Snapdragon, a version from Japan. So we have here an S9 Japanese phone and the S20 Plus. But before we start guys, I'm just gonna share with you a very important document that I found online. It's called the One UI Design Guide. It's 93 pages of design guidelines from the Samsung UX or User Experience team. Alright, and it's very important to understand it because apparently the One UI Design Guide pretty much respects the structure of Android screens and main components. And this is actually what I'm going to be showing also in my video. We're going to be focusing on the lock screen, then the application screen, the home screen, the notifications, the up bar, and the dialog. And those things really are like the pillar of the structure of Android's screen and main components. And if you're interested to find more information about the One UI Design Guide, then don't hesitate. I'm going to be leaving the link down below. It's an official document by the Samsung User Experience team. A very fantastic document speaking about margins, paths. Everything is there guys, have a look. But what is important right now is that here we have the One UI version 2.0 and here we have the One UI version 3.0, and I'm gonna be showing guys how this compares to each other, where are like the tiny details. And if that's the case, you might want to subscribe for my channel. Really appreciate all the support I'm getting back. Alright, we're gonna start right now, and the first thing we're gonna start is the lock screen. I'm gonna be starting the lock screen. Now on the S20 Plus, I can do it with a double tap. So you can just see when I do it like that, I just get immediately the clock. Here it's pretty much the same, although you can see that the clock information here on the One UI 3.0 is in the center, and in the One UI 2.0 it's a little bit on the left. We pretty much can see the same amount of information. Here we have the icon for the fingerprint to be unlocked, and here the fingerprint is on the back, so no animation. You can go straight and have a call, and you can activate your camera. So let's just try to do so, activating the camera on the One UI 2.0 and trying to activate the camera also here on the One UI 3.0. It pretty much works in the same way. Now back in the lock screen guys, what happens if I pull my finger to the left? Apparently I need to unlock my phone. We have the same behavior also on the One UI 2. What happens if I go to the left on both phones? Here I have the information required to enter the phone, the pin. Exactly the very same thing happened also on the One UI 2.0. What happens if I do like this? Again, the phone requires to be unlocked, so no surprises here. What happens if I do like this here? Apparently I'm able to see if any music is playing. The same should happen here, but right now, I cannot see it. What happens if I just swipe like this? I am presented with the option to have a dynamic lock screen. I would say is rather the same on the One UI 2 and on the One UI 3. So I'm just gonna go back, and then we have the option to pull up the edge panel, which is here on the One UI 2 and here on my One UI 3.0. Now, of course, there are differences in the edge panel, and I'm gonna focus on them a little bit later in this video. But what we can see right now is that the lock screen, which is one of the first elements, is almost about the same. We're now presented with the home screen, and home screen is very important for One UI. As per the One UI Design Guide, they support a very big diverse range of devices. So they have smartphones, they have also tablets, they have foldable phones, and all of these phones, right, they have different screen sizes. All of this is tied in back together by using the home screen. So if we need to nail down how many devices are utilizing the UI from the home screen, so we have to say there are phones, there are foldable phones, there are tablets, and also not to forget the decks. And again, this is all guys as per the One UI guide, and it's very important, that these things look uniform. This is actually what you want to see with you on the screen. I have enabled the buttons here on both phones, so it's easy for you to follow up what I'm doing. So the normal scrolling, I would say, is about the same, right? So if we just go and navigate to the right, pretty much have the same behavior. If we just go here to the right side, here we have the Bixby, and here we have the Samsung Daily. Now pay attention what happens if I go into the application sections. Okay, this is the animation. So I think that the animation here is about the same. The way it looks is about the same. So we have here a consistent design. Now I want to see what happens if I press an icon and hold it. I'm going to use the gallery icon. So this is what happens on the One UI 2.0. We have search gallery, we have select items. You can remove it from home, or you can get directly up information. What happens here if I do the same? More simplistic, right? You just have search gallery, you can remove it, and then apparently you have the information on the application. This looks better, but we don't have here the moving animation from the icon. Honestly, I think this looks a little bit better to me. Maybe they're gonna bring it back. I'm not sure. This is again a pre-beta software, but again, it does look pretty much comparable. It is almost the same. Let's now try to find an application that is not on the home screen and we wanna put it there. I'm gonna do this with Viber, so I'm just gonna open the search box, find Viber, click on it, and then I'm pressing locate up. Doing it the same here, so just gonna go again in the search box, put the Viber, hold my finger and press locate up. We pretty much see the same behavior. Now both icons are located. Now I just will hold them and then I have the option to drag them and put them somewhere I will. So I would say very consistent, One UI 2.0, One UI 3.0. The next thing we want to explore as part of the home screen is the interactions with the recents menu or the recents application. So I'm gonna open it here on the One UI 2 and the same on the One UI 3.0. The opening animation is pretty much the same. Pay attention, I'm gonna do it once again, alright? But now notice, there is here a big difference. While we are swiping through all the cards, we can see that all the cards remain the same and they're really flat and static. And while we do the same on the S20 Plus, we can see that the animation is a little bit different. Now it looks a little bit rotary and also the cards are changing in size. I'm just gonna do it at the same time so you can see what I mean, alright? So I'm doing it here and I think already there is a difference. This here looks a little bit better. Let's see what happens when we close the application. Closing it, all right, they go upwards. I would say consistent and same animation. We have the same very consistent experience from the interaction with the recents menu. The next thing I want to show you is the interaction with the quick settings and also changing the light mode to the dark mode. Right now both phones are in dark mode, so I'm just gonna toggle here the quick settings. While I do this on the One UI 2.0, you see that all the icons turn black and they disappear, fade to black. But when we do this here on the One UI 3.0, you see that they actually remain, but the background becomes blurry. I'm just gonna do it again at the same time so that you can see what happens, okay? And just let me know down in the comments, what do you like more? Do you like this behavior that we see in the One UI 3.0 or you like the old style from the One UI 2.0? Now I will go and I will enable the light mode on both phones so you can see what happens and how the design changes. Now doing it here on the One UI, you see no animation, directly going from dark mode to light mode, and this is pretty much also seen in most Android phones. But what happens here if I do it on the One UI 3.0, you see very nice animation going from dark mode to light mode. Let me do it once again, alright? No matter where you do it, is it from the quick toggle or not, the animation is there and it's very pleasant to the eye. Alright, you might say it's not a big differences, but if we just sum up all these nice and small tiny changes, they'll make the bigger puzzle of a bigger change. Okay, let's see some of the other changes. What happens here if you want to turn up the volume or turn it down? You are presented here with the improved and redesigned volume rocker, and you see on the One UI 2.0 it actually is absolutely different right now. It first appears from the top, you see, make it like this, okay? See this appearance like this, and here it will disappear and it will go to the top. But it is absolutely redesigned, and I can tell you guys, I really like the new one. A lot of people are comparing the new one to MIUI 11, but honestly, I would have to say, for me, this really looks uniform to the latest changes on the One UI 3.0, and probably is one of the more drastic changes coming from One UI 2.0 to One UI 3.0. I'm just gonna show it again to you. As functions, it is still the same. You pretty much can still do the same things, but this here is visually changed. And now it's time to review also the quick settings. So again, see here the animation, right? Scroll one more time to have access to all the quick settings. This is probably one of the bigger changes here. On the One UI 2.0, again, we have the clock a little bit to the left. I think it's a central theme in One UI 3.0 to have things a little bit more centered. Now the clock is centered here as well, and then you can see all the buttons. The buttons are down below. They're really made to be accessed easier by one-hand operation. Of course, this is an S9 phone, so it's a small phone, right? But nevertheless, this new change is a welcome addition because using this with one hand is definitely easier. You can go and swipe to right and left to access various of the settings. Pretty much the same. The brightness slider, if you can see the brightness slider, I would say it's absolutely the same, absolutely the same. This screen probably is just one-to-one, okay? But there is also some differences where the settings are, because the settings you see here on the One UI 2.0, you can find them from here, and I don't know why, but the settings for the One UI 3.0 are directly here. Like if you, let's say, want to add a new extra, right, or a new button, then you have to click here, right? I don't know really why they brought it there. Maybe this is gonna change. This again is a pre-beta software. It's not so convenient. Honestly, I would have preferred this version, or maybe this is just a design decision to really keep the clock uncluttered. And you can see here actually the animation is, I think, almost the same. Let's see now the animation when we close the quick settings, all right? I would say almost the same. Speaking about animation, we know that the animation really is a big thing with One UI. So let's just see what happens when we do this on the One UI 2 and One UI 3. I'm gonna open several apps where we can test this. So opening here the phone dialer, all right? This is what you have as an animation in One UI 2. Opening this here on the One UI 3.0. Again, it's quicker, it's faster because this phone has a 120 refresh, but I would say that the animation is pretty much the same. So you see, don't see big differences, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's try to open another application. Let's open Play Store, all right? Pretty much the same opening and closing animation. Let's open Play Store from here. I think it's pretty much the same. I cannot really spot too many differences. But again, I liked the animations already from One UI 2, so it's a good idea to have these animations in One UI 3.0. Now, speaking about animations and icons, it's said that you can still not change the icon pack so easy without going and applying a whole theme, but okay, who knows what will happen in the future. Let's explore some more things on the home settings. Now, if we kind of unpinch to zoom on the One UI 2.0, we get these options here. We get these options on the One UI 3.0. You can apparently go do the same things. We have the wallpaper, the themes, the widgets, the home settings, and yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. So again, here I would say not a big differences. This does look really consistent. And then the final thing before going into the settings is the edge panel. So if we do like this, we're gonna get it from the One UI 2.0. If we do like this, we're gonna get it from the One UI 3.0. Now the edge panel really is changed a lot, and there are more and new things, and apparently also that came from 2.5. But right now in One UI 3.0, there are more things that you can do with this edge panel. For example, let me just show you. You can already like pre-save configurations of dual apps, and this is really, really incredible because, you know, if you use a phone and do things simultaneously, then you can just save this application and the whole split, right? So the multitasking, I think, is brought just on a new level, and then you can also go and access from here more applications. By the way, I did a full review of all the new things from the One UI 2.5, so you can check this up here, and we're gonna go back and enter right now the settings to just see some of the other menus here. All right, so I'm entering the settings on the One UI 2.0, and I'm entering the settings on the One UI 3.0. And then again, guys, if you look at this, it does pretty much look the same. There are some subtle changes on the design wise, namely I think grouping, right? So let's just go at the bottom, right? So here we have the about phone, we have the tips, we have the software update, it's 1-to-1. Even if I press the icons like this, I think the animation is pretty much the same and consistent. There are some changes in groupings, guys. For example, here we can see we have the biometrics, the security, privacy and location in one, and here next to it we have also the accounts backup in Google, and on the One UI 3.0 the account and backup and Google are in separate places. But I would rather say that besides this, the animations and the whole feeling looks pretty much the same, right? So even if you do like this now, okay, you see, I wanted to swipe like this very quickly to just see if this animation is present. It is present. Now probably one of the biggest changes here is that they brought the end user information in a separate tab. If we go to the connections, okay, let's go to the connection here and here, pretty much see that the menus look alike. Let's see what happens if I go in airplane mode. Again, all the toggles like toggle on, toggle off, animation wise is pretty much consistent and the same. Of course, this is One UI 3.0, and you'll find more extras here like the double tap to put the phone to sleep. And by the way, check my One UI 3.0 review with all the new features, right? This video right now is just a comparison of the design wise and the aesthetics. I would say that the settings menu is not drastically changed, right? But there are still some changes. This is how the power menu looks like. Now, I would say it's almost the same, right? So now it's time for my final wrap up and recap, and I can only say that design wise and aesthetically wise, those phones, the One UI 2.0 running on the S9 and the One UI 3.0 running on the S20 Plus, they do feel really very uniform and almost the same, right? But when you have the phones in the hands and when you see all the small and tiny changes, then you're going to realize that you're holding a different phone, right? So the One UI 3.0 is definitely an upgrade over the One UI 2.0, not only in terms of design, but also in terms of accessibility, in terms of usability, and in terms of the way you kind of interact with your phone. The One UI 3.0, from what I see, is really definitely definitely an improvement, and this video just wanted to show you two very important points: how Samsung and the One UI design team and the Samsung UX team is really sticking with their ideas. Again, I'm just going to put down the link below to the One UI design guide, and you can just see those guys, they have very clear principles of what they want to do and how they want to achieve it. And with that said, it's time to end this video. I'm gonna catch up with you on the next video. In the meantime, check some of my old videos. Hopefully you can find some other interesting stuff to do in my channel. And with that said, VST over and bye.